Parents take sister on vacation instead of me. Later on she ruined family vacation and got arrested. Now my parents finally realize her true colors. I, 23F, have a younger sister, Lisa, 18F, who I believe is the true incarnation of evil on earth. I have tried my best to convince my parents over the years to see the truth, but they never believed me, at least until now. For context, my parents and I have always had a somewhat strained relationship, mainly because of Lisa. My parents absolutely adore her because my mother had a miscarriage, and she lost the baby, which deeply affected her. Lisa, born a few years later, was regarded as their miracle child, a beacon of hope and joy that healed the pain of their previous loss. My parents showered her with affection and attention, turning her into the center of our family universe. Now, let me be clear, I loved my younger sister when we were children. It's just that I slowly started realizing that Lisa had an incredible talent for manipulation that none of my family members were able to grasp. She knew how to twist the story in her favor, and she was a master at playing the victim card. Once on my birthday, I got this amazing antique pocket watch from our grandparents. I was so happy with it as my grandmother told me that it was a family heirloom. But Lisa, well, she was clearly jealous and kept asking if I could share it with her. I said no because it was a gift for me on my birthday. She tried to persuade our parents, but since it was from our grandparents, they couldn't do much. That night, Lisa, who knew I was terrified of spiders, placed a house spider inside my pillowcase, ensuring I would discover it when I went to bed. I awoke to the horrifying sensation of a spider crawling over my skin and started screaming. My parents rushed to my room in concern. Lisa acted all surprised and caring, but later, she admitted to me with a creepy grin when we were alone, that she put the spider there to teach me a lesson. I was shocked by how casually she confessed, without any remorse. Another time, I remember when I had a crush on my classmate, Mark, and I finally had the courage to invite him over to watch a movie with me. I was feeling all giddy and excited and had carefully picked out a dress to impress him. But, as soon as Mark arrived at our house, Lisa deliberately spilled a glass of juice all over my dress and started laughing at me. I was mortified and had to change, all while trying to hide my embarrassment. As if that wasn't enough, Lisa started telling Mark embarrassing stories from my childhood, making me feel utterly humiliated. She didn't leave us both alone the entire time we watched the movie. When Mark was about to leave, Lisa smirked and told him that he could do much better than me. Mark, who had been uncomfortable the entire time, left in a hurry. I just couldn't believe how cruel and cunning my younger sister could be. Over the years, I told my parents about her antics several times, but they always chalked it up to her being young and naive. They just couldn't see her for who she really was. Whenever I complained, they just dismissed me and thought of me as the troublemaker in the family. So, I eventually stopped speaking up about her. Lisa continued being their favorite child, while I, always straightforward, often felt like the outsider in my own family. I focused on my studies and managed to get into a good college. This gave me a chance to move out of our house and have a better life in college. However, every time I returned home during breaks, Lisa made it abundantly clear that she despised having me back in the house. She would deliberately ignore me, refusing to engage in even the most basic of conversations. During family meals, she would avoid sitting next to me or interrupt me if I was talking to our parents. Her constant need to undermine my presence was evidence that she despised the idea of me being around and was determined to make my visits as uncomfortable as possible. Lisa even used to mess with my stuff, pretending that she needed to borrow things, but would often damage them or lose them instead. My parents did nothing when I tried to complain and instead urged us to get along with each other. As a result, I began avoiding coming home during breaks. I would come up with excuses to spend my breaks with my college friends' families instead. Truth be told, my parents didn't mind as much and chalked it up to me being independent and wanting to enjoy some time away from home. When Lisa graduated from high school, she didn't have the grades for college, so she settled for community college instead. This meant that she never had to move out of our parents' place. These days, I am working at a multinational corporation in San Francisco, and I genuinely enjoy my job. I sometimes stay in touch with my parents, but I rarely visit back home. I don't maintain any contact with Lisa whatsoever. Now coming on to the story, my father recently had a near-fatal heart attack. Fortunately, he survived by some miracle and was rushed to a hospital. When my mother called to tell me about it, I immediately booked my tickets and flew back home to be there for them. The doctors prescribed numerous medications for my father and strongly advised him to start working out. Since being discharged, my father has expressed spending more time with us as a family and told me how lucky he was to be saved from the brink of death. I understood where my dad was coming from, so I continued spending a few days at our house. My job has the option to work remotely, so it was no problem. However, I noticed that Lisa was deeply agitated that I was back. I tried my best to avoid her because we were both older now, and I didn't want to argue after our dad's heart attack. One morning during breakfast, my father suggested that we all go on a family vacation as it had been a long time since we all went somewhere together. Initially, I had my reservations, but knowing how important it was to my dad, I agreed. As for Lisa, well, she wasn't thrilled about it, but she had no choice but to go along with the plan. My father made all the arrangements for our flights and accommodations. I had planned my leave from work well in advance and informed my colleagues not to contact me during this time, as I genuinely wanted to enjoy quality time with our parents. However, when we arrived at the airport, I found out that my flight ticket had been cancelled. I exchanged puzzled looks with my father, who kept insisting that he had booked and paid for my ticket. When we checked further, it turned out that out of the 4 tickets, the one with my name on it in particular had been mysteriously cancelled. As I stood there, trying to comprehend the situation, I looked over at Lisa. She had a sly smile on her face as she stared at me. It was a look I had seen so many times before, the same expression she wore when she had successfully pulled off one of her manipulative tricks. I realized at that moment that she was the one who had cancelled my ticket, probably from my father's computer. I started yelling at her as she continued to stand there smiling at me. I pointed out to my parents that it was Lisa's doing as she never wanted me to go on this family vacation in the first place. Instead of believing me, my mother immediately dismissed my claim, saying your sister would never do something like that. She went on to tell me that I should stop being jealous of my younger sister and that it was just a freak accident that my ticket had been cancelled. My father also tried to justify that this might have been an airline mistake and I should not blame it on my sister. I was utterly frustrated that my parents couldn't fathom that their beloved miracle child would be behind such a deception. At this point, there was nothing that I could do. My ticket was already cancelled and there were no other flights for that day. While it was possible for me to catch a flight the next day, I didn't relish the idea of returning home, booking a new flight, and traveling alone. After all, this was supposed to be a family trip. I was also dreading sharing a room with Lisa during this trip. I had hoped that she had matured over the years, but if she was behind the cancellation of my flight ticket, I couldn't help but wonder what other schemes she might have in store to make my trip miserable. My father was initially hesitant, suggesting they could all go back home and plan a new trip later, but he then started talking about how it had been ages since he went on a vacation. My mother agreed, telling me that I always travel a lot for work, so I wasn't going to miss out on much on this trip if I didn't go. Their comments really got to me. It felt like they wanted me to insist they continue to go on this vacation without me. I told them that they were welcome to continue with their vacation if they wanted, and they readily agreed. Although I didn't want the money they had spent on the tickets and rooms to go to waste, I was sad that they didn't care whether I joined them or not. It became clear that they didn't mind going on this family vacation as a family of 3. So there I was, standing alone at the airport as my parents and Lisa headed for their much anticipated vacation. I decided to return to my home in San Francisco, not wanting to spend a day further alone in our family house. I tried my best to put the incident behind me and focused on enjoying the rest of my leave that I had already taken from my work. I reconnected with old friends and spent my days engrossed in books, turning my break into a solo staycation. During the trip, my parents would sometimes video call me and I could see how much they were enjoying the trip without me. It was like my absence didn't really affect their trip in any way. Although I wasn't too heartbroken about missing the vacation, I couldn't help feeling excluded. It was yet another reminder of the favoritism that had always existed in our family. I hoped that someday they would see through Lisa's true nature, and I guess my wish finally came true. A few days into their vacation, I woke up to several missed calls from my mother. Worried that my father's health might have taken a sudden downturn, I immediately called her back. Thankfully, she picked up, but she sounded extremely distressed. I asked her if everything was okay and she went on to explain that something deeply troubling had happened. Apparently, my parents had noticed that my father's essential heart medications were disappearing day by day. It was an alarming situation, as my father couldn't afford to miss his medication, given his fragile health. They were in a foreign country and didn't know if the same medicine would be available outside of the US. They were genuinely concerned about the missing pills and searched their room everywhere in vain. My mother had gone to Lisa's hotel room, which was adjacent to theirs, to borrow some sunscreen while Lisa was out. To her utter shock and dismay, she discovered all the missing medicines carefully tucked away inside Lisa's bedside table. It was a chilling revelation and she immediately called for my father. He rushed in and found all his medication that had gone missing the last few days. I guess this is when the truth dawned on them that their beloved daughter, the so-called miracle child, had been intentionally jeopardizing my father's health and putting him at great risk. My mother's voice quivered as she asked if they should confront Lisa about this. I asked her to not speak to Lisa about this until they were back home. They needed to gather their thoughts, emotions, and evidence to face Lisa with the undeniable truth. I knew that speaking to Lisa now would be futile, as she was a master manipulator and would likely concoct excuses to evade responsibility. However, something unexpected must have transpired that night and my parents must have confronted her about it. I received a late-night call from my father, his voice trembling as he informed me that Lisa was in jail. I was taken aback. He recounted that Lisa had a full-blown tantrum when they asked her about the medications, throwing objects and shouting insults. Her rage was targeted primarily at my father, accusing him of booking a ticket for me when he should have never allowed me on their family vacation. She told them that if they continued having a relationship with me, she would teach them a lesson that they would never forget. Lisa continued to lash out and the situation escalated rapidly until someone from the hotel called the authorities. When the officers arrived, she refused to calm down and insulted them, which led her to be taken into custody. Lisa would be released after 24 hours and there was nothing that my parents could do at the moment. Desperate to return home after Lisa's release, my parents had then tried to reschedule their flight. However, their plans were foiled when they discovered that their passports and wallets were missing. It turns out that Lisa had either discarded their passports or hidden them away, but for now, they were stranded in a foreign country with no passports or wallets. I guess this was the first time that my parents started to see my sister for who she really was. My mother, who had persistently defended Lisa for all these years, was now begging me to help as they didn't have any money or their documentation to fly out of there. She was overwhelmed, shocked, and distraught at the realization of her angelic daughter's true nature. I told them not to worry, and that I would send them money using Western Union, but they had to find their passports first so they could return back home. I was certain that Lisa hadn't discarded them. My parents were finally realizing that I had been the honest one all along about her antics and were grateful that I was helping them out despite them not taking me on this vacation. They apologized for their behavior. While part of me wishes I could forgive my parents, it's hard to shake the feeling that I've been deprived of their love for all these years due to their favoritism towards my sister. So, Ida for not forgiving my parents that they went on this vacation without me, and now that they get a taste of it they come back begging for my forgiveness? Update 1. Every day, my parents call me with updates, and I am growing increasingly anxious about their situation. You see, after Lisa was released from jail the next day, my parents threatened her to give them back their passports or they would call the authorities on her again. Faced with no other choice, Lisa eventually revealed where she had hidden their passports. Upon their return home, my parents confronted Lisa and made it clear that she needed to gather her belongings and leave. It had become abundantly clear that they had reached their breaking point, finally realizing the truth about their daughter's manipulative and harmful actions. She might jeopardize his health again by stealing his medicines. This started another screaming match between Lisa and my parents. During this confrontation, Lisa began to hurl accusations at my parents, expressing her anger and resentment. She told my parents that she didn't want to share them with anyone else and claimed that she had been pushed to the brink when they invited me for the trip. She kept insisting that my parents should disown me, emphasizing that she was more than enough for both of them. It was at this moment that my parents must have realized the depths of her jealousy and the extent to which she resented my place in our family. While they tried to placate her, she kept yelling accusations at them, and in a fit of desperation and anger, she claimed that she would go around telling everybody that they had neglected her when she was a child and mistreated her during her formative years. She was basically going to accuse them of parental negligence. Lisa then threatened to go to the police and make false statements against our parents if they continued to ask her to move out. This genuinely scared my parents as these fabricated allegations would put them in a difficult position, particularly since they are well-respected doctors in our community. The mere thought of their reputation being ruined by false accusations has since left them feeling trapped and anxious. In the past few days, Lisa has continued to make our parents' lives more and more difficult. When she found out that they were talking to me regularly nowadays, she got really mad and started breaking dishes in anger. What's worse, she keeps stealing their car keys and hiding them, which makes it hard for them to go to work every day. Just tonight, my mother called me in tears after another bad incident during dinner. Lisa had a big tantrum and yelled at them because she wanted my mother to cook for her. When she refused because she was tired from work, Lisa went on a rampage and started breaking furniture around the house. Then she went to her room and turned up the music really loud, which prevented our parents from getting a good night's sleep. The situation keeps getting worse, and it's taking a toll on my parents emotionally and mentally. I am increasingly concerned about what might happen next. While I had hoped my parents would see Lisa's true nature, I now worry that she could pose a real threat to them. I can't even return home at the moment because it might trigger her further and lead to more explosive confrontations. I'm doing my best to persuade my parents to consult with a lawyer so we can find a permanent solution to this ongoing crisis. The legal route seems like the best way to protect my parents and restore peace to our family. Update 2. Lisa has been arrested. As many of you predicted, with Lisa's increasing antics, this was bound to happen. One night, she came at our parents with a knife during a big fight. This terrified my parents and they were forced to call the police. The officers swiftly took her into custody, placing her under arrest on charges of assault. With Lisa in custody, our parents decided it was time to pursue a more permanent solution. They consulted with an attorney who advised them on the legal process for evicting her from their home. They filed a formal eviction notice that said she had to leave. They knew it wasn't easy, but it was necessary to make things safer. Our parents didn't want to continue pressing any charges on her as they just wanted her to move out. They bailed her out of jail and handed her a formal notice telling her she had to move out. It had all the legal stuff explaining why she had to go and when she needed to leave. My parents made sure they did everything by the book, so Lisa couldn't challenge it. Next, they went to court with their lawyer to start the eviction process. It meant filing a lawsuit against Lisa. This was all pretty hard on my parents since it was their own daughter they were taking to court. They felt really sad, guilty, and like they had no other choice. The court finally gave an official order that said Lisa had to leave the house. If she didn't go on her own, they would have the legal right to make her leave the property. Lisa is going to be out by next week. My parents can finally breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that they have taken a step towards getting their home and peace back. It's been a tough road, but they're hopeful that things will get better once Lisa moves on. I have stayed in touch with them throughout this ordeal and plan on bringing them over to San Francisco for a few weeks. It's a way to give them a break and let them relax after all they have been through. I am sure they could use a change of scenery and some time away from the stress Lisa has caused. Plus, it'll be a chance for us to spend some quality time together, and I want to support them as much as I can. Update 3, I have received hundreds of comments under my post and it's taken me some time to go through them. Many of you have suggested that we should consider getting Lisa checked out to see if there might be a mental health issue at play here. The thing is that since she's an adult, we can't force her to go for a checkup against her will. Due to her sudden violent outbursts, we don't want to push her and make this situation more complicated than it already is. As I mentioned in my last update, my parents flew down to San Francisco to spend a few days with me. They are here to take some time away after what they went through the last few months. Yesterday evening, as we gathered around the dining table in my cozy apartment, my parents began to open up to me, their voices laced with humility and regret. They admitted that they had been blind to Lisa's true nature over all the years and begged for my forgiveness. My father expressed his remorse for not heeding my warnings earlier. He admitted that they never expected Lisa to turn out this way and were unable to see the truth that lay beneath her charming facade. My mother echoed my father's sentiments and acknowledged the gravity of their mistake in dismissing my concerns about Lisa's behavior over the years. Her voice trembled as she voiced the pain of realizing how they had failed me by favoring her. I let them know that I appreciated them taking the first step in seeking my forgiveness. I shared several painful memories of the years of torment I endured due to Lisa's actions. My parents listened, utterly shocked and dismayed, at the extent of what I had endured on my own. They acknowledged the pain I had gone through and expressed regret over the isolation I felt in my own family. My parents recounted how their favoritism towards Lisa had clouded their judgment because they never had expected to get pregnant with her and always considered her to be their miracle baby. With sincerity in their voices, they begged for my forgiveness for all those years. It was a bittersweet moment for me, as I had always wanted their acknowledgement. While it may not have been the ideal way to mend our relationship, it was a turning point that brought some much-needed honesty and clarity to our family dynamic. We were, for the first time in years, truly acknowledging the issues that had plagued our family. I told them that it would take me some time to trust them again and we all agreed to work through this together. For now, I plan to make the most of the time I have with my family while they are here with me for the next few days. Update 4, as the days passed, my parents and I spent more time together, exploring the vibrant streets of San Francisco, enjoying leisurely meals, and simply relishing each other's company. It has been quite a journey to reconnect with each other by rebuilding the bonds that had been frayed by years of favoritism and denial. I came to understand that their decision to seek solace with me was not just about physical distance from Lisa, but a desire to rebuild the family they had almost lost. They needed a fresh start, and so did I. My parents and I have since discussed what to do with Lisa. She is currently staying at one of her friends' homes. We can't simply abandon her, despite the turmoil she has caused in our lives. As parents, my mom and dad feel a profound sense of responsibility towards their daughter, even if her actions have been unforgivable. We have come to terms with the fact that her behavior might not be just willful mischief but might be indicative of deeper issues. We plan to explore the possibility of a mental health evaluation to better understand her condition. However, since Lisa is an adult, we can't force her into such an assessment and plan to find a way to encourage her to seek help voluntarily. My parents plan on reaching out to Lisa once they are back home to see if she is open to a discussion. I don't want to contact her because she still holds a strong grudge against me, and I'm trying not to worsen the situation for the sake of her mental health. Considering the past incidents of aggression and violence, I have encouraged my parents to meet her at a public place so that she would be forced to control her emotions. Our primary goal is for Lisa to grasp our perspective and, most importantly, recognize the deep love and concern we hold for her. It's not about assigning blame, but rather about coming together as a family to address the issues that have strained our relationships.